Welcome to Casense.
Picture a typical monthly meeting. An analyst pulls up a presentation, and we see a chart. This chart shows a solid, exciting trend. Mobile signups went up 30% this quarter. The room looks at the screen. People nod. Everyone feels pretty good about that 30% jump. Then the presenter clicks to the next slide, and absolutely nothing happens. No plan is made, and no action is taken. This happens in offices every day. We spend so much time collecting, cleaning, and presenting raw numbers that we treat the data itself as the finish line. But dumping facts onto a screen forces the audience to do the hardest part of the job. We are asking them to look at the numbers and figure out what they actually mean in real time. Usually, they simply don't have the time or context to do that. Numbers on their own do not make choices. People do. All that raw information sits there, completely unhelpful, until someone takes the time to point it toward a concrete next step. There is a simple, repeatable mental habit that solves this problem. It is called the so what ladder. To see how it works, we have to look at the way we normally process information. Usually, we perform analysis. That means taking a massive, complicated situation and breaking it apart into tiny, raw pieces of data. The ladder helps us do the exact opposite. It is a tool for synthesis. Instead of breaking things apart, synthesis is the act of pulling those separate pieces of information back up, organizing them into a single, clear insight. It acts as an essential bridge. It connects the raw fact you discovered straight to a real-world decision your team can act on. To process that 30% jump in mobile signups, we climb 4 steps. The base is your observation, a raw fact. Then we ask, so what? Pushing us to meaning. Most new users arrive on mobile rather than desktop. Notice how that step adds real context. Rather than using fancier words to say mobile went up, we translated the numbers into a description of how our users are actually behaving. Then we ask it again. So what? This brings us to the third rung, the implication. We know most users are on mobile, but our mobile checkout process converts half as well as our desktop version. That makes our mobile checkout a massive bottleneck. This rung outlines the stakes. It shifts the conversation from what happened to why it matters, telling the team exactly what we stand to lose. Finally, we ask, so what, one last time. That brings us to the top rung, the recommendation. The specific action we need to take is to prioritize fixing the mobile checkout during this week's work sprint. You only stop climbing when your answer is a clear instruction. If your answer is just another observation, you need to ask the question again. By asking that single, simple question 3 times in a row, we took a nice, feel-good statistic and converted it into an urgent plan that actually helps the business grow. This habit is incredibly useful for executive summaries, building presentation storylines, and direct recommendations. But there are a few traps to avoid. The most common mistake is stopping one rung too early. If you stop at the implication, you alarm your audience about a problem, but abandon them before telling them how to fix it. The opposite mistake is forcing a tiny finding into a massive, terrifying monster shadow of an implication. Not every minor change demands an emergency. For the climb to work, your foundation has to be solid. You need reliable facts at the bottom, and you have to take honest, logical steps as you work your way up. It all comes down to one golden rule. If a finding changes no action, it has not been fully synthesized yet. Once you build the habit, it happens in seconds. Our churn rate rose from 3 to 7%. So what? Revenue is going to drop next quarter. So what? We need to launch a customer retention program today. The true insight is never the raw fact. The insight is the necessary decision that the fact demands. So the next time you have a presentation, don't just put your data on the screen and hope for the best. Build a ladder. Keep asking, so what? And actively lead your team right to the decision.